Hello and welcome to Grace, Gratitude, and Generosity, the wisdom from the perennial tradition, a ministry of Robbinsdale Parkway United Church of Christ. I'm Reverend T. Michael Rock, one of the pastors here, and we are so blessed that you are here, that you are taking your time to move into a place that heals the soul, that finds a place of care and love and honor of each beautiful soul on this planet and the more than human world, and how we can all bring that together. I spent the last week on the Oglala Lakota Reservation in Pine Ridge, South Dakota. And one of the beautiful memories for me there is the wisdom of silence, the teaching of the great gift of silence. As Rumi says in the poem, I went to talk to the wise one, and the wise one said, "Shh. Let the silence speak." Let the silence speak. Invite the silence to be part of the room, a companion on your journey. Let the silence greet you in your first breath in the morning. Let the silence find a way to embrace you in the final conscious breath of your night. May the silence hold you in your deepest care and concern. May the silence find you in the deepest grief and the memory that causes you the most pain. May God speak to you in the silence to find your life, to find the love that has always been there, and the hope that comes when we understand ourselves as connected to all of this universe. Every cell, every planet, every star, every place of light and darkness, when it all comes together, we find wholeness. The beauty in the Quaker tradition obviously has always been silence, right? We always find that place where we can enter into that and let the Spirit speak from the silence. Now, there's an old story in the native world in the Lakota way that describes the grandmother bringing her grandchild to understand a deeper sense of silence. So they went on a long walk, as long as the old woman could find strength to do. And their first stop was along a hillside. And on the hillside is where these lookout warriors, watchers are to protect the village. And in the midst of that, they talked about how important it was to be silent so they could hear and see and listen for any dangers that might come upon the village. But they also found a deep sense of spirit there in that silence. And so they spent some time with the warriors and just prayed and listened and found the tree that was nearby spoke of an old tradition of how it could find water on a dry day or a dry month. They noticed that there was a snake rustling in the grass, searching for that sense of where they were going to find water to drink. It only needs a few drops a day, but it moves quickly to where the source is. And then after a while, the grandmother and the grandson went down into the valley. And in that place, they found other ways to be away from the wind, to experience the deep silence when the grasses stop moving, when the animals stop burrowing and finding their way. And in the valley, they found such a deep sense of understanding of who they were. And the child said to the grandmother, "I think I'm understanding who I am." And she found, of course, this great gift of being in the midst of silence, of finding in her own world that you find out who you are when you open up that possibility of silence. And after a while of discovery and being totally present, They went to find silence along the stream, along the creek, with the rushing water that was moving, and where there was lots more wildlife and deer and rabbits and all kinds of different bugs, and in the midst of all the muddiness of that place. They listened for the gift of silence from the bugs in the bushes and the river. They listened how the river found its way through the rocks, and depending on what was happening upstream, the river too found silence. And that it was searching, actually moving towards a place where it could be still. Its purpose in that rushing way was to take away the sides of the earth a little bit to provide some sustenance for the animals that lived in the river, but it was always moving towards a place where it could be still. I invite you today to find stillness, silence. And in the midst of these words of grace, gratitude, and generosity, we have been given so much. We have so much possible for us when we stop and listen. When we have the ability to be like the turtle, the slow one, to really soak in the surroundings and find the gift of a breath, a look, a touch, the wind on our cheek, the sun ray on our face, the raindrop and the dew. May all of this come to you in the beautiful silence of God's caring, loving voice, reaching out to you to remind you that you are loved,